56 visionary business leaders inked this document in 1920, establishing first the Norfolk, then 2 years later, the Hampton Roads Maritime Exchange.
They saw the potential of the maritime industry in this area.
The idea of creating a unified waterborne chamber of commerce was as a result of the massive military activities, shipments during World War I at the Army base.
Within about a decade, advocacy by the exchange led to the purchase of the port's first fireboat and the deepening of the Elizabeth River, Newport News, and Dismal Swamp channels. By 1936, there were new coal piers in Newport News and Norfolk, expanded bulk cargo handling facilities, and a 40% spike in foreign trade, with tobacco, grains, and coal the lead exports. During World War II, there was notable expansion of shipbuilding and ship repair facilities. The exchange helped furnish cargo ships to the government under the Lend-Lease Act, and in 1945 took the lead in launching Craney Island as a disposal site for dredge material. It was also the year the exchange became the Hampton Roads Maritime Association, with a committee structure that made things happen, according to Jack Mace, who succeeded Harry Thompson and held the job for the next 24 years.
We had a Harbor Anchorage Maintenance Dredging Committee, which was composed of the users of the channels. And so they had a very loud, responsible voice in getting improvements to the channels, deepening the channels.
By 1953, 5,000 vessels were calling annually at local terminals, and recognizing the value of maritime commerce, the Commonwealth created the Virginia State Port Authority. In 1964, Hampton Roads was the largest coal exporter in the world, and the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel, described as the engineering feat of the century, opened.
Savannah Harbor attracted more business than Norfolk, behind New York. And I always thought that Norfolk should be up with, if not competing with New York. And they just didn't seem to take advantage of what they had.
The association's leaders realized that competition between the city-owned ports in Newport News, Norfolk, and Portsmouth was counterproductive and pushed for unification under state auspices.
They were doing this from a business perspective for the port, and certainly there was some benefit to them, but everything had always been so isolated and individualized that for them to come together and say, we need to quit fighting each other and do something that's going to be better for everybody and the port as a whole.
Before you had unification, you really couldn't tell a ship line, you need to go to this terminal and this is the reason why. You had to show them all, and then it was very difficult for the line to make a decision.
Bray credits key legislators like Senators Hunter Andrews and Ed Breeden for passage of unification and funding, as well as two governors, Democrat Mills Godwin of Suffolk and his successor, a Republican lawyer from Big Stone Gap named Linwood Holton.
I knew the potential. I learned in the 5th grade that the Port of Hampton Roads was the biggest natural port in the whole wide world. But it wasn't being used efficiently, and I wanted to see if I couldn't help develop it.
A shipping container parked near Holton's home was further evidence.
I saw a box that had the signed Sealand on it, on a siding in Appalachia, Virginia, which is about as far west as you can get. And I pointed out that had come from the Port of Hampton Roads, and that was evidence of how important the port was to the entire state.
In 1988, the first 50-foot channel opened to support increasing coal exports from Western Virginia. And in 1989, the first in the nation inland port for containers began operating in Front Royal. Another competitive advantage has been a stable and productive workforce. Peaceful and mutually beneficial labor relations has been a Hampton Roads hallmark.
It doesn't mean that every day everybody's happy. What it means is you have the means to sit down and discuss things reasonably.
Under Art Moy's leadership, the Maritime Association grew along with the industry, which included not just brokers and shippers, but also distributors, truckers, manufacturers, attorneys, bankers, pilots, terminal operators, real estate agents, and ship repair firms.
There's been probably more change in the last 25 years than the previous 75. One of our main goals over the last decade has been to change that impression that the maritime industry is a Hampton Roads asset, period. It is not. It's an asset for the entire Commonwealth.